On this week's show, it is the last show. That's right, Nintendo Duel Screens podcast is no more after this week, but do not fret. Nintendo Duel Screens becomes the Duel Screens Gamescast next Monday for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice right here on this very subscribed channel that you are listening to us in. And this week, what we are going to talk about is our experience and everything that happened in NDSPodcast to us, what we loved about it. And of course, we are doing this live right now on twitch.tv/dual screen streams with our listeners. A lot of our Patreon supporters are here. Hopefully, some other people will drop by and they'll ask us questions and give us comments to read on the air. That is what we're doing this week's show. So please, to enjoy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Duel Screens episode 133 for the week of December 30th, 2019, the final episode. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me each and every week, as always, even with the flu, it is Andy Asimakis. How are you, Andy?
You know that Zac Efron almost died today
Zac
in
Efron?
Papua New Guinea?
Expound?
That's a thing. I don't know. There's an article right now on sausage roll. I think that's what it's called.
Sausage roll. That seems like a reputable source for news.
It does.
That seems like where I'm going to go for my news. It's right up there with everything. For those of you that are new to Nintendo Duel Screens podcast, don't fret, because Nintendo Duel Screens podcast is going to live on as the Duel Screens Gamescast. As you know, we did split off our interview segments. They are now their own show called the Duel Screens Podcast, and now we're going to be doing a general games discussion podcast, all about the games news that you want to know about and what we think you should know about. And that's going to post each and every Monday, and the Duel Screens Podcast posts each and every Thursday for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, including YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Wherever you are, please subscribe. And if you are listening on Apple Podcast, please leave us an effing review. We're stalled at 30. Paltry. We've done 133 of these things. Get in there and do the thing.
Leave us a bad review.
Yeah.
How about that?
No,
How about that,
please
guys?
don't do that. Please don't do that. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can do so by going to patreon.com/NDSPodcast. We cannot continue to grow without your support. So please, if you like what we do, if you want to support independent podcasters and independent content creators, the best way to do it, not only by subscribing to their shows and commenting and sharing it with your friends, but you could also do so monetarily on patreon.com/NDSPodcast. That is patreon.com/NDSPodcast. And for as little as $1, you get access to our VIP Discord channel where we chat with you, you chat with each other, and indie devs that are on all of our shows will come on in there and also talk to you about what they got coming up and just about games in general. It's a really cool place to hang out. Plus, every month you get a bonus episode, which admittedly, Andy and I suck at actually recording those episodes, and it's even worse towards the end of the year, especially when both of us got sick at different times. But we do have the December episode coming to you very, very shortly. Hopefully, we can get that to you before the end of the week. All right, so normally we do Nindies of the Week, we do, all that other fun stuff, but you know what? We're gonna hit I'm gonna close the dock, and we're just gonna go. We're just gonna have some fun. Andy, what you been playing? What you been doing these days?
Well, since I'm on vacation, the Switch is with me, which is why I love it so much. And was going through all of my indie games. I have so many games that I bought and never played before, and I hate myself for it. But I did get deep into Shovel Knight King of Cards.
Sweet.
These past couple of days, I'm in love with it. It's kind of like a light retread of Shovel Knight proper. But playing as the King Knight is ever so slightly different. So in Shovel Knight, you had to do the little pogo stick move on enemies.
Right.
King Knight, he has a similar kind of attack, but he has a little shoulder rush which
Nice.
kind of makes him pop in the air and he spirals down. That kind of mimics that little pogo shovel move.
Okay.
So there's that. So similar, but a little bit different. Same quirky humor. And they are also a confirmed guest for the Dual Screens podcast in 2020.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. So that's Yacht Club Games and for Cyber Shadow, which we played at PAX East and kind of loved the fuck out of.
Yeah, that looked real good. That played really well. It looked like you were having a good time with that
Hell
one.
yeah.
I can't wait to go back to PAX East, man.
Oh, I'm so
I got to
excited
get
for
my
that.
time in because that shit's sneaking up quick.
It's good. We're coming in on like 2 months ish because
Yeah, so this
yeah,
Thursday it'll be one.
it's also a leap year this year, so we have the extra day in
It's in exactly 2 months from
yeah.
this coming Thursday.
So I've been playing some of that, and I played a few hours of Pokemon Sword as well.
Okay, what are your thoughts? Because you didn't really give many
Yeah,
thoughts.
it's Pokemon. That's like my first thought is Pokemon.
Oh, you mean it doesn't completely destroy Pokemon? It doesn't. It's not Pokemon as we
Listen,
know it.
listen. I don't think I can speak. I'm not that much of a diehard Pokemon fan to speak to the level of it's destroyed what Pokemon is. So I can't say that, but I'm not at the point where I can say it's the best Pokemon game yet, or because I've read reviews where it's kind of like it's all glitter and rainbows and candy pops and watermelons, but yeah, it hasn't gripped me yet. But hopefully on the ride back home from Billy, I'll have some more time to play it.
After the third gym, it kind of it makes it more of a it takes more of an RPG. It's like I feel like it's very quickly trying to get you through the first three gyms so that you can kind of go off and like do your thing and
This is like
you know.
our Death Stranding argument. You get to chapter 3, and then the game will open
Well,
itself up
no,
to you.
I mean yes and no because even with Death Stranding, like I'm enjoying because of how the production value of the
Right,
story. Like
right.
I like watching those cutscenes and I like learning the game. Um, but with Pokemon, it's just like get through these three gyms and
Hmm.
then like you'll be able to do more stuff that you want to do on
Right.
your own time. You could like I spent entirely too much time in the wild area before even completing my first gym. And that was kind of a mistake because there were certain things that weren't open to me yet. So I was just wasting my time really in the wild area just kind of putzing around, fighting things and like leveling up a little bit. But eventually shit's not going to listen to you. You're not going to be able to catch things because you don't have the proper gym badges. So you kind of have to push through that. And then once you get to like the middle, like around the fourth gym, that's when you can really start to expand what Pokemon is and do some more fun things with the
Right.
game.
Okay. All right. So when I get there, I'll let you know what my thoughts are.
Cool.
But of course, no longer bound to a Nintendo themed podcast anymore after today.
After this week,
Right.
correct. After this week, we will be talking about any game that we're
I
playing.
want to say it's going to be the most freeing thing because you and I have had thoughts about things outside Nintendo for a long time.
And only Patreon was where we were able to say
They get a
those
lot of
things.
shit from our mouths with regards to Sony and Xbox.
It's true.
Um, so it'd be great to unleash those thoughts for the world. Ready or not, here we come.
So I want to ask our chat for those that are still listening, that are in here. I mean, there are a few people here. Um, what was your Nintendo Switch game of the year? I want to know what your absolute must-have, the game that you love the most. It doesn't have to be like you think it's the best made game, but it's your personal favorite game of 2019 on the Nintendo Switch. Mr. Nuff says Children of Morta, which
He loves that game.
he does, and just based on his hype for it, I recommend it to people now. I'm like,
Having not
listen,
played it,
having not played this game, I can tell you, here's a review on our website. If this does, because it sounds like something I would love. Um, but the backlog is just stupid. It's so stupid, Andy. My
this
backlog is so
this
stupid.
sounds a lot like our interview posting 2 weeks from today about taking a game on a desert island and our guest chose a game that he hadn't even played yet. And I was very taken aback by that answer. I was like, you're risking that on a game that you've never even played before. I was like, what?
Well, that's why doing Game of the Year in December is like really stupid. I feel like it should be kind of like the Academy Awards, you know? Like, get a month or two into the next year so that you could actually sit there and play the games that, because not everybody could afford that. Like, I can't afford $400 in video games just because they're the hot games that everybody is talking about for Game of the Year. Like, I still haven't gotten the Outer Worlds. I still haven't gotten, I didn't play Sekiro, even though it's really not a game for me. Um, what was the other one? Control. Still didn't play Control.
Did you play Resident Evil 2?
No, still didn't play Resident Evil 2. I don't own it, but it's just those games. I'm just like,
That's how I feel about those like best of like the top 10 best-selling games of the year. And I'm just like, I didn't buy a single one of the FIFA, Call of Duty. What? Like I don't play these games.
I mean, Call of Duty. I could just watch people play, and I get jealous. Like I get the itch. Like I kind of want to jump in there and play with them, but then I realize like I get so like just absolutely bored of like those in and out die a million times games. That's why I think I like Apex because it's not like that.
Mhm.
You die once and that's it. The game's over. Um,
That's a game for me.
but yeah, but on the Switch, it was an indie machine for me. So like I did not play Luigi's Mansion. I didn't play Mario Maker. I didn't play Fire Emblem. I didn't play Astral Chain. I didn't play Daemon X Machina.
Mario Maker 2?
No, I didn't play Mario Maker. I watched a ton of it. Like all these games that I'm interested in that I know I can't afford and I
You
can't
don't
get and we're not gonna
realize
get
that
codes
you,
for.
well, you at least now that you hosted for 2 years a Nintendo podcast.
Yes, yes. But remember, the show was purposefully skewed towards the indies
Right.
and the nindies.
And you did just
And
get Ring Fit Adventure.
I
You
did.
speak to that, which I think
I did. And I'm finally healthy again, so I think I'm
listen,
gonna do some
you're
more.
just you ate like shit for the last week and a half.
No, I mean I no longer have a cough that
Right.
is making me wheeze.
Can I say one thing about that game? I
Sure.
think it's gonna be the sleeper hit for Nintendo. I think they don't know the potential behind that game. Because every person that's played that I've spoken to loves the shit out of it. And I can see that. It is a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
it's a
And
good
that shit
game.
leaves you sore.
Just stop making me do legs shit. Why do
Why do you want to
two of
skip
the
leg day, bro?
four just give me
What's
one
wrong
to
with you?
do? Why do I have to do two, three really?
You
If you
gotta.
count the ones that are supposed to do your like lower abs, like you're still moving your legs a lot. That hurts,
No
man. It's
pain, no
just
gain.
great. Let me pain slower.
Pain, all gain.
Let me do more arms.
You want
I
the
don't
you want
know.
you want the glamour muscle. That's what you want to do.
I want the muscles that aren't going to make me shake and vomit.
I want the muscle that make people
What
say
muscles
to
are
me,
those?
I guess what the arms and the chest. I don't know.
I
Shoulders.
go into the chat here. Missed Enough says you unlock more workouts as you level up. I know that. I know, and I'm only going based on the first time I played, which it only allowed me to play like 11 minutes. So I only did the 4 workouts. I did level up quite a bit, but I got sick right after, so I wasn't able to do anything for almost a week now because I got it the day I put it on. When did I put that on? No, it's 2 weeks now. Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
I thought the game made him sick, like he had a violent
No,
reaction.
no. I just
Like
got
I
I
am
got a
this out of
horrible
shape.
cough. I know. So I'm excited about this. So Flurple said his Switch games of the year are either Luigi's Mansion 3 or Untitled Goose Game.
Ooh, fine.
Um, I really want to play with Luigi's Mansion. I feel like that's a game that I feel like that would be a fun streaming game, and that is a game that I watched a bunch of streamers play.
You want to borrow it? I got it.
Who has time? I got to get through some of these games first.
You gotta finish Death Stranding. It's your top priority right now. What you gotta do?
Is it a top priority? I'm still in the middle of Fallen Order.
Fuck Star Wars. It's a dead franchise.
No, they're driving that bad boy into the ground. That's for sure.
I will finally watch The Mandalorian at some point. before the new year is over. It's done,
I
right?
really enjoyed it.
Season's done at this point.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it's 8 episodes.
8 episodes between 35 and 48 minutes.
Because I have an aversion to popular things. So the second Baby Yoda became a meme, I was like, I'm turned off
Fuck
by
that show.
this. Like
Yeah, I know. You're a contrarian. I get it.
this is love too much for me to like it, so I can't enjoy this now.
That's the Queens in you.
It
Like
is.
anybody
It
in Queens
is.
and Long Island, they just hate that.
Yeah. Mhm.
They can't enjoy something other people enjoy. It's
Yeah.
a
You
fact.
just can't.
It's a fact. Flurple says Luigi's Mansion is better than Star Wars. Fact.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe. Maybe.
No, I'm gonna say yes. Flurple is a wise man. He is a wiser than Yoda, I would say. Yes.
Do or do not. There is no try. My 10-year-old cousin's never seen a Star War. It's very upsetting.
Go see a Star Wars. He's only 10 years old.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
a lot of 10-year-olds
He's
see
playing
Star War.
Fortnite or Roblox.
He's playing Roblox.
Minecraft.
He's big into Roblox. What's up, Distant? Find me Distant is here. He
What
says
is
false.
I get the appeal. What's up, bro? I get the appeal for Fortnite and Minecraft, but what is the Roblox appeal? I don't understand it. My
I think
coworkers' kids beg them for money.
I know. We got him a gift card for it.
What is this?
Got,
What do you do?
I think it's The Sims meets Minecraft. That's my understanding of it, and that's based on nothing. That's based
most
truly
things in
on
life,
nothing.
yeah.
It's just when I see people play it, I feel like they are a character interacting with other people's avatars, and they're just doing stuff, nondescript stuff.
Is there a sexual component in this game?
Maybe. I mean, I feel like if there is, it's not on purpose. It's just what people did.
Is it one of those like FBI watch list situations where if you play the game, you're going to be like surveilled in
I
some way?
mean, yeah, if you're in your 30s and you're
Playing
playing the game,
Roblox.
you're likely interacting with somebody who's 12 or under, and you might be on a watch list somewhere. I mean, why isn't that on Switch yet? Is it on? That's not on Switch, right? No, it's just a PC game, right?
The last thing the Switch needs right now is to open up those kids to to that world.
I mean, there was that story a couple of years ago. There was the woman whose kid wound up in a Roblox sex dungeon. Like somebody invited this little girl
It's a mom of the year right there, if I've ever heard one.
to like a party in Roblox, and it was all dominatrix stuff everywhere. Do you remember this?
Right, but what happens though? Like, what can happen in the game besides it being people like avatars of dominatrix?
What is Roblox?
Like, what is it? What does it do? Like, what is the gameplay? Like,
It's a massively multiplayer online and game creation system platform
is it like Second
that
Life?
allows users to allows users to design their own games and play a wide variety of different types of games created by other users.
What kind of? Is it like Dreams? Can't be like Dreams.
Yeah.
It's like this whole thing. Like, I feel like if I want to go
This
down
came
that
out in
hole,
2005? 2006? What?
but why is it a thing now? What happened?
What?
On YouTube and PewDiePie.
The platform hosts user-created games and virtual worlds covering a wide variety of genre, from traditional racing and role-playing games, don't know why those two are together, to simulations and obstacle courses. As of August 2019, Roblox has over 100 million monthly active users.
It looks like Lego people. What is this even? I don't get it.
Oh, it was originally Dynablocks. I think I remember Dynablocks back in the day. Okay, so in 2005, it changed its name to Roblox. Roblox officially launched in September 2006.
So
Oh no.
I'm guessing the pervs got a hold of it, and that's why it's popular today. Is that what happened? What is this? It looks like shovelware games. Why is this fun?
I guess it's like kids
Okay,
playing,
what-
making the games is the.
What do you spend money on?
So listen to this. In 2007, Roblox became compliant with COPPA, which is the big thing that's going to shut down YouTube soon.
Right.
With the addition of a safe chat, a change that limited users under the age of 13 by communicating by selected predefined messages from a menu. Huh. Then there's a Builders Club, which you join for a fee. In December 2011, they had their first Hack Week, where Roblox developers work on innovative outside the box ideas for the developments to present to the company. Interesting. Um, yeah, I guess it's just Minecraft, but MMO, and I don't know.
There's a video that says Roblox gameplay walkthrough part 1,
Uh huh.
iOS, Android. It has 500,000 views. Within the first 10 seconds of the gameplay, and I'm putting that word, it's like the loosest way imaginable.
Hmm.
It's a blank space with a generic Lego motherfucker. The guy took 5 steps and it says, no joke, you need 30 more Robux to buy the paintball gun, no damage Game Pass. What the fuck? What is this? There's a banana, but it's a mousetrap. I don't know what this is.
Andy, let's just say
This is beyond me.
we could have randomly selected 400 words from any of our podcasts and made a game, a $100 million user game.
Right. We're in the wrong business.
We are.
It's like I can make a shitty game that attracts pedophiles. I can be a billionaire, is what you're telling me.
Missed Enough says, "Did you really just Google what is Roblox?" Yes, I did.
Yes, we did.
Flurple said, why make many games when you could make one game that tries to do everything?" Roblox. True. Uh, Flurple also says, blank space Roblox sponsored by Taylor Swift.
Is it even is it even trying to make a game? I can't. We gotta move past this point because
I mean, clearly it's a game creation tool. I mean, it is what it is. All right. Anyway, whatever. We've been playing things.
We've been playing a lot of things. Yeah, well, not Roblox is what we're trying to say.
I don't know how that tangent happened. If anybody that is listening to this live can tell us how the hell we got to Roblox, thank you. You can let us know that. All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of why we're why we're doing this live, and it's kind of, the answer is kind of twofold. So as I explained at the top of the show and in the pre-show, Nintendo Duel Screens podcast is evolving. It's changing. It is becoming. It's already started to already become two things, but the first thing is already live. We have 5 episodes of that already out, and that is the Duel Screens podcast. That is an interview show where we bring on indie developers and voice actors and other talents that make the games that we love, and we interview them and talk about their careers, their projects, aspirations, and ask them whether who they would who they like, me or
Who they would rather bang, me or Steven.
Correct. Mimsy says podcast is changing now. Roblox only. Correct.
Yes. 100%.
So that is one half. So that's going to go up on every Thursday. Then this video game portion of the show, Nintendo Duel Screens, is becoming the Duel Screens Gamescast, and what that is going to be, the format is going to be like this. We're still going to do Indies of the Week. That's going to be kind of the first thing. It's going to be what we're playing, and we're going to talk about whatever games we're playing, and then we're going to pick our Indie of the Week because we're still going to be heavily in the indie game scene. And then we're going to get into the news report, which I haven't named yet, but it's going to be 4 topics: a PlayStation topic, a Nintendo topic, an Xbox topic, and a wild card. It's not going to be in any specific order. It's just going to be whatever happens.
Roblox.
Roblox is the wild card. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick one headline story for each of those, and those are going to be the main topics that we're going to discuss. Now, obviously, sometimes you're going to get a lot of pieces of news for like Sony one week and nothing much for Xbox. That's fine. But what we'll do is we'll say, hey, this week Sony did this, and this, and this, and here's our main story. And so like we'll still touch on other stuff that's happening with those companies, but it's going to be a mainly focused on one topic that Andy and I agree that we want to talk about. Um, Mr. Nuff said it's the four horsemen of the Robocalypse. Correct.
Roblox ellipse.
Roblocalypse. Robloxalypse. Sorry, I butchered that. Dyslexia man strikes again. Here I come to Dave the Say. So yeah, there's going to be that. And then we're going to do the Hype Zone, which is going to live on. And then we're going to do the Retro Game Club, which is going to cover all games, not just Nintendo.
Can't wait for that one.
And that's it. And then that's sort of the format of the show. Now and now the other thing is the reason why we're doing this on Twitch is because I want to record, because we're not going to be reliant on guest host schedules, like who's in California, who's in Istanbul, who's all over the place. We don't have to worry about that. So we are going to do this show live on Twitch every week. That's our goal. Now Andy and I, we obviously have lives, so there's going to be chances where we're not going to be able to do that. But it seems like throughout at least this past year, Andy and I have always been able to come together on a Sunday night and record a show when we needed to.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
So I think Sunday night is probably the best night for us. If if somebody is going away, we'll record earlier in the week. We'll just say, hey, we're recording this week's show early. Here it is on Twitch. It's just going to be a Twitch thing for us. The other thing is I'm going to get away from streaming my personal gaming and all that fun stuff on our Twitch. I'm going to do that either on my own Twitch or I might do that on Facebook. It depends on the logistics and how I could do that, because I don't think I could have two Twitch channels tied into my Streamlabs. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but if I can, that's what I'll do. I will just stream my stuff like Apex and like anything that I'm doing that's not for the brand will be done on my own personal channel. The original vision was that Andy and I would both be streaming from this channel, but Andy still hasn't streamed, and I don't know if he's really equipped to do so. So that it just hasn't worked that way. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that. We're going to try and get back to doing more streaming to get like playing games together on stream, playing games with the community. We just haven't figured out which day of the week we're going to do that. And also starting the second week of January, which I believe it's going to be January 10th. Yes, January 10th is going to be the first episode of Andy Explains It All, and that's going to be bi-weekly. So it's going to be the 10th, 24th, and so on and so forth until about the end of April, I think. It's going to be like 6 episodes. And the first episode is going to be all about Stephen King.
You were banned from picking Roblox as a topic for that show, by the way. I'm just saying,
but you don't know anything about it,
right? But
see that would be interesting if the show was like, I give you a homework assignment, and in 2 weeks you have to learn everything about it and explain it to me.
Great. Now,
hey Andy, I was really interested in Roblox. Would you mind doing some research?
Can you explain sports for me, Andy? Can you do that while you're at it? Explain hockey, basketball.
Explain cricket.
Explain wrestling.
Cricket. You got to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket.
That is from the first Turtles movie.
Correct.
That's Raphael talking to I think Casey Jones.
I'll teach you. 6 runs.
That'd be a fun idea, but no, because now we're back in college, and I hate you.
Correct. Right, you are. So that's essentially what we're doing. So next week's show is going to be the first episode of the Gamescast, and this is really the last episode of Nintendo Duel Screens. So I just wanted to open up the floor and kind of just have a conversation about what Duel Screens has been, and kind of give you some. I'm really not prepared, but I'm going to try and give you some information on Duel Screens. So Andy, why don't you chat a little bit about why don't you tell everybody how this story came together? How did Duel Screens happen?
Well, I want to say that I think we've been on this sort of path for a long time now, and I think in the back of our minds, just having not yet realized it fully, I think once we went from having one interview or 2 interviews every 4 to 6 weeks to weekly guests on the show, I think our longest string of guests was like 14 episodes in a row of guests, which is kind of amazing. We realized that we couldn't go down this path of just having a guest talk about their game and then sort of building, like rigging Nintendo news to that guest's interview. It
Right.
seemed like it was a disservice to the guest and to the Nintendo portion of the podcast, because one of my biggest fears was when you have a guest on the show, do they follow the news at all? Because most are sort of balls deep in game development, which is fine, and we prefer it that way anyway. And then could they speak much to it anyway? So there was that.
Right.
There was that issue.
There were a few that really didn't have much to add to the conversations.
Like unless it was a big thing like the Switch Lite, which
Right.
you could not avoid that news, that headline, even if you wanted to.
Right.
If you were in the gaming industry at all. But yeah, I felt like the two didn't quite fit well together, because I feel like in the beginning it was a way for us to help market the show and get some more eyes on it and ears, which was great. But then when we started to do our first deep dives, it was like, this is a really great format. This should be a thing. And I think now that we're entering into the next phase of gaming platform with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, I feel like it's the best time to make this jump, because there's going to be a lot more things to discuss that will be left out of, which I don't want to
many much things.
Right. Too many things.
When I look at other gaming podcasts that cover multiple pieces of news, like there's a lot of stuff happening with like especially this year, there were a lot of PR issues like sexual harassment, pay gap situations, lawsuits, and like all that crazy stuff that like
don't forget the crunch, Steven, the dreaded crunch.
An indie dev isn't going to really have much to say about that. Maybe they'll have something to say about crunch, but like they're not going to care what's going on at over in what the hell is it called, the
yeah, let's ask
Detroit Become Human studio,
Joe Blow indie dev about about Quantic Dreams,
so
sexual harassment.
Quantic Dreams, that's what it was. Yeah, so it's like, I mean, but that's still good. It's interesting conversation to have. Listeners might want to hear that, but like a guest coming on our show to talk about their game might not want to talk about that kind of stuff, because what if they say something that doesn't represent their studio, their coworkers, their game, just because they have a personal opinion about something. They're coming on to both advertise and talk about their project and their careers. Like that's boom, full stop, done.
We're not trying to make clickbait here or just gotcha moments, because I feel we could have done that. I mean, I feel like going back, we could have poached a lot of quotes from people sort of on the down low without them realizing it.
Oh, absolutely.
If we were just complete assholes about it.
Absolutely.
You could fish for things. Like when you bring on certain guests, you can find a way to get them to say things like that could be a headline if you really wanted it to.
Right.
But I'm a scumbag, but I'm not that kind of a scumbag. I have integrity.
Is that what you call
it? Right.
So the first episode of Nintendo Duel Screens posted on May 19th, 2019. 2017, sorry. May 19th, 2017, and the name of the episode was A Call to Arms.
Was that our first pun? Because it was, hey,
yes,
it's our podcast, please subscribe, and hey, this ARMS game came out for the Switch.
Correct.
Even back then, we were terrible.
Yeah, the second episode was called The Forgotten Hype Zone. And that was because, let's see, so the first episode was May 17th, and the next one was the 26th. So how many days is that, Andy?
It's definitely not.
It's definitely not a week. That was 13 whole days went by before the next show. But this was the Forgotten Hype Zone. So this was, we discussed Rabbids cross-dressing.
Right.
Castlevania coming to Netflix. And the 3DS and Wii U games we want to see on the Switch.
Look at us as pioneers in the field of podcasting. The most
original
and unique topics ever crafted in a podcast.
I think that was called the Forgotten Hype Zone because on episode 1 we didn't do the Hype Zone.
Right. And also, you were just bad at naming things, and you had full
Blah.
control back in the day.
No, I
You had
was.
no oversight.
Then we had episode 3, a statue of limitless possibilities.
Was it an
That's a
amiibo thing? I think it was
that was
an amiibo
something.
something or other. I think it was an amiibo news bit.
Yes, there must have
It
been
must
something.
have been something like that.
Then my favorite thing that we do on this show, and it's gonna get so much better because now we're gonna be able to do it for all games,
Dear God.
is the 4th episode was the E3 2017 Unprediction show. I love our unpredictions. I think they're a really fun show.
Oh yeah, can't wait for
Um,
that one. It's gonna
how
be fun.
hold on. How could you say I have bad naming? Look, we had the E3 2017 Unprediction show, great. Then you had E3's Company 2. Come on.
No,
And
Steven,
then E3 Part 3.
Steven,
That's
company
3
too.
fantastic
First of all,
episodes.
that's news to me.
Chat,
That's
back me
that's
up.
what you named it. I
Yeah,
wasn't aware.
E3's Company 2. Come on,
You
chat,
are,
back me up on
you
this.
are, I'm the punsmith of the both of us, but that's just terrible. That's like you should be tried in front of a tribunal in The Hague. That is just horrifying.
Then you came back from a work trip, and I just finished moving for episode 7. Then we did a listener mail extravaganza, which I think we had 4 emails that we begged people to write.
Right. Because episode 4.
N64 musings, Pokemon shitfest shenanigans. Oh, that was when they did the
Oh, the
Pokemon
Pokemon Day. It was a total
Day
disaster.
fest in Chicago, where it was a
Yeah.
disaster.
Oh my God, that's fun.
Oh, and Tricky joined us for that one.
I must have blocked that out. Was that Bubble Trouble? Was that the day?
Yeah, yeah, that was.
Oh boy.
And then there was
Oh boy.
our first non-numbered episode. So right after episode 10, we did the Splatoon 2 review.
And we didn't number it for some reason.
No,
Didn't we talk about
because
more than Splatoon too?
no, we only did split. That whole show was I think like 40
Oh,
minutes of just Splatoon
I
2.
think back then we had this idea, which is I think came and went. It was if a major game came out, we would do a whole review episode on that game.
Right.
And that
We did do it for a few. We did Rabbids.
Mario Party, I think. And
Maybe.
yes, I believe so.
Well, whatever.
And maybe Smash. I don't know. Rabbids of all games. Jesus.
Then my daughter was born
Right, you had a kid during the
for
podcast.
episode 11.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, 11. That's crazy. Super Tangential Mario. Come on, that's a great episode name.
Nope.
Nindy's Explosion.
Pedestrian.
Nintendo Direct 4 site? Question mark?
Yeah, I don't know. See, I don't know what this shit even means.
It was us predicting the Nintendo Direct that they announced. All right, so now we're getting into the good stuff here.
I know I can't wait for either in the new Gamescast podcast. Seeing and reading rumors from every single major console, like shitty PS5 rumors and shitty Xbox X Series X rumors.
The Hype Zone is going to be full of that shit.
Oh my God.
Frame rate debate, cease and desist. The Tricky joined us again for that one.
We wanted guests early on, is what I'm feeling here. We had this itch
for
to
that
have
one.
A third voice on the podcast at some point.
That one I Tricky asked to be on, I remember. And then there was the only show that you missed.
I was really sick that day.
Was episode 18, and that's Tricky filled in for you.
It was too early in the podcast's lifespan to care if I missed one or not.
Right. Tricky fills in for Andy as Andy deals with being patient 0 for the butt plague.
I think I've been recast.
We talk about the Nintendo World Championships, Game of the Year talk, a special holiday edition of the Hype Zone, and yell at each other in the Facebook group.
I feel didn't Tricky come back on for E3?
He came on another
third time.
I think he was on. No, that was as a guest. Yes, he came on again. This was his third show.
Okay.
On. Then another episode that you weren't on, but it was because we were so busy at this time. with our jobs and our lives that we both did solo episodes.
Right. You did Pokemon, I did horror games.
Right.
That was fun.
So we did an October thing. We created a special couple of episodes to sprinkle in throughout the next few weeks. So the first one you got was my Nintendo memories. Then we did episode 20 together, and then you did Andy's spooky Halloween Nintendo memories.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the chat
That was
here,
fun.
Flurple says, "Whoa, Mario? Have I been saying this wrong my entire life?" And then Mr. Enough says, "No, it's Mario." Here's the thing. It's Mario. It's actually not Mario. It's Mario. It's actually MAH. That's how the Italians say it. It's Mario. It's Maria and Mario.
Right,
It's the
but
same
that's
name with one
right,
letter.
but you're talking about the white man version.
Right.
like
Then
like people
there's
call my brother Spyro. That's not his
Spiro.
name. It's Spiro.
Spiro.
Yeah.
Right. Then it's Mario, Mario. Hello. Um, but yeah, if you're like a non-Italian Brooklyn person, it's Mario.
Right.
Everybody called Mario, 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 Mario.
Mario. Yo, Mario.
Then the rest of the country says Mario. So, but it's Mario, M-A-H.
Oh, Stephen, breaking news.
Ma.
Breaking news. This is gonna bring my Wawa run to an end. There's an armed suspect search wanted in connection with a knife point robbery near Market Street and 16th Street. Stay safe and use caution.
There
And
you go.
Ken's like, too close. We're not going outside.
There you go. Little does he know you're the suspect.
Right. See, if I was invisible, they wouldn't know.
So, episode 26 was our 2017 finale. Then we did our awards for 2017 on the for episode 27. Um, so I'm scrolling up, and here it is, episode 31. This was the one that truly put us on a collision course to what's going on right now with the brand. On January 29th, 2018, we had two very special guests on the show. Jao, I forgot how to say his name. I think it was Jao Brandt and Lucas Matos from Long Hat House joined us to talk about Dundara. And that kind of set everything in motion. That we got excited. We were able to do a review. I mean, a interview, and that was a lot of fun. Andy.
Yeah, I was a little nervous, like going in, because we had the time difference working against us. So there was that.
Mm.
Plus, their audio wasn't the best. It was two guys in a room listening to us talking to them. So there was that. So, which was great, but I think it was the next one that really, really cemented the format. It was that moment where we were like, we need to do more of what we just did, sort of a scenario. And that, of course,
Right.
was our good friend, Roberto P. Rhino at 505 Games.
Yeah, and that was episode 34.
Mm-hmm.
That was February 19th, 2018.
Yeah, there wasn't a huge, we were like, great. We interviewed a developer. That was neat. That was different. That was fun. But we weren't like itching to get someone on the week after. It was just, okay, cool. We'll do a regular show. We'll send some feelers out. If folks respond back to us, great. And I took a chance and I reached out to the Bloodstained Facebook group, not knowing what would happen. And then Roberto, who runs that platform for them, was like, yeah, this sounds great. And I was like, we're kind of going to the big leagues now. We've gone from a true indie dev to something that has more of a household brand power because it's tied to Koji Igarashi and it's Castlevania kind of ish and it's Kickstarter and it's a lot of stuff. And his whole sort of sales pitch of, okay, so here's the plan. We're going to post this interview on our Reddit page, on Twitter, on our forums to get feedback from our fans. And we were like, whoa, what is this? What is happening? This is all very new. Stop being so awesome. Thank you so much. And I remember specifically when that interview ended, and we do our ritual of our little post recording phone call, which has become the post show, I think, in a lot of ways.
Essentially,
right.
Yeah. Like that was what inspired the post show.
We had both just like our jaws like agape. And we were like, that was fucking awesome. We were just so struck by how great that recording was.
So we don't have the updated numbers. I don't know if you had them somewhere, you just didn't update them. But we did have totals for how many episodes with guests.
Oh, maybe I think it was on page 2 of that guest page.
There's a tab for totals, but it's not updated.
Oh well, okay. Well, there's that then. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not
the cells don't talk to each other.
Right.
And I still have to update the website as well.
True.
With the last 2 episodes we did. But we've had KG Tang, Sissy Jones, Ben Diskin, Frida Wolf, and Richard Epcar, Tony Chung, Daniel Piscina, and Catalin Ogren as actors and models come on the show. That was a lot of fun. I think the Mortal Kombat thing was probably some of the best content we've made.
Right, I agree with you.
I just think that was when we had been doing it for so many weeks in a row that we just kind of got comfortable with it, and we're able to like be ourselves and really roll with whatever. We had such a diverse group of characters that we were interviewing that it was something different every time, and we were able to kind of roll with it and go with the punches.
I think once we had folks like Greg Johnson on the show, it was on a whole other realm because it was dealing with, oh, this guy made Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, there's a little bit of I don't deserve to be doing this, it sounds so dumb saying it out loud right now, because why not us to talk to these people? Because they're just like anyone else in the industry with their story to tell.
Right.
And, I'm pretty sure these people have been asked the same questions or similar questions throughout their careers, but just having it told at your face, like live, is a different kind of dynamic. And that's why I think moving on to the full-blown interview show, I just it pains me to think about what moments we missed out on cutting short for the Nintendo Duel Screens podcast format. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
that was episode 68, by the way.
What was 69?
We did not have a guest for that one.
We're just butt fucking each other? Is that what happened?
We had Nate Schmold on episode 70.
Oh, Nate. Nate was one of our favorite guests. He was one of the most well-received guests by the listeners, too. They love that guy.
He was on episode 40 and 70.
You have to make him not dead to us again. Can we do that? Can we like unshun him?
I mean, I could call him right now live on the air.
Didn't you call Zach once on the air?
I did. Let me see. Let's see.
God.
I definitely have him in here, which is weird to say. Here he is.
Yeah, there's the whole biscuits in the woods, the Mason Forneys. There's great moments. Great moments. Listen, I just want to say hi and say he's unshunned. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, that's essentially what I'm doing. Yep.
Like, we love you. Come back on the show. He's not gonna answer. He's totally screening the call right now. He's like, why is this fucking phone camera calling me at 10 o'clock?
He doesn't have my number programmed. There's no way he has my number programmed. What's up, Maltese? How are you?
Another great person. One of my favorites.
I'm calling British Columbia.
Hi, you've reached Nate Schmold with Blue Wizard Digital. Please leave a message.
He didn't answer.
Could left him a voicemail at least. Come on now.
I was nervous he was going to start saying his phone number. I just didn't want to get him in trouble. Yeah. So that Nate Schmoll, maybe he'll call me back. You never know.
Yeah, he might. That'd be a hoot and a holler.
Um, yeah. So I think Nate. So the episode with Nate and a little further, yeah, it was Nate was the first one where it was truly a. I realized that what we should be doing is entertaining. Like the show should just be an entertainment show. We shouldn't really worry too much about the news. It was that point forward that like the news became very secondary to
Because
us,
I
and the
feel
most
like
important thing
the
was having fun.
right, and I feel that's the trap. Because when you talk about the news, there's this idea that you have to sound like you're informed, which we
Right.
clearly are not
Oh no,
informed.
we're so no.
But that's the great catch. So I
Right.
feel like let's leverage that. Let's be ill-informed gamers talking to indie devs about their careers, and we can just have fun with it. And there's no pressure on us. I mean, you can try to seem informed with little facts here and there. Like I do the occasional research on a guest sometimes, more
Mm.
so to seem like I give a shit about them and what they've done before, and to have little bullet points when we talk to them. But
Not
it's
that you
mainly
don't give a shit. It's just that you may not know about them enough.
right. I just don't want to be like, what is it? I don't know if you know the comedian Tig Notaro. She
Uh,
has a show where she interviews celebrities, not knowing who they are. And
yes.
it's called Under a Rock with Tig Notaro.
Yeah. Oh yes, yes. And she was trying to get Melissa Joan Hart. I saw that
Right. And
episode.
I love that. I love that idea, but
Right.
that doesn't sell well because we're not like an old comedian.
Right. Speaking of Melissa Joan Hart,
Oh boy.
Andy explains it all coming
Oh boy.
couple of weeks. Couple of weeks, ladies and gentlemen.
Stephen King of all people. And I was just watching this weekend that documentary about The Shining called Room 237. Have you seen this before?
No.
It is, you have to watch it. It is not so much about The Shining, it is a deep look into what fan obsession leads to. There's people on this thing, they're talking about how The Shining is not about Stephen King's novel. It is about the moon landing. It was Kubrick's confession of working on faking the moon landing with NASA. It was about the Holocaust. It was about the slaughter of the Native Americans. It was just the most insane nonsense, and you'll laugh out loud watching it. And it showcases how one's mind can spiral into utter insanity when you love something and you glob onto it with such fervor. And I recommend it for a good. It feels like a really long YouTube video, like a conspiracy theory video, in that kind of format. And it's
Like
just
the flat earther videos that
right,
you can get down like
like
an
or
8 hour rabbit
like
hole.
a Holocaust denier video. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it feels like, and it's just so insane.
Missed Enough in the chat says the Greg Johnson episode I think is my favorite and the one that for me the one for me that really got me to step back and say, "Damn, this is big."
Yeah,
Maltese said, "Yep." So I'm assuming that's what he was talking about.
yeah, that was good. I felt that way from Cissy Jones. She was great on the show.
Yeah. So after Nate, we had Monster Crown on. We had Battery Jam, Mike Keogh for Pizza Titan Ultra. That was a really fun episode. He was a lot of fun. He is a very, very funny character. Then we had the uh, headache that was Alex Preston, and it was only a headache getting him. It wasn't really like because he was on vacation or it was just a big.
It
He was
was
in the woods.
he was in the woods, and we were stood up, I think, twice, and we were already at this point low confidence with our abilities, and we thought we were being ghosted. So when you have
Hmm.
two men with fragile egos wondering why won't you love us, why won't you respond to an email or to a Twitter message, and it was like go time, and we had barely a backup plan, and it was like I think 2 weeks in a row. with nothing. And then when he came on the show, he seemed very detached in the beginning anyway, like,
Right.
which I didn't quite get because I feel like at that point your game has been out for a very long time. It's going to come to the Switch soon. That was the big announcement they were kind of holding on to for a bit. But it was a port, so I don't think he was involved with that too heavily. So he had no obligation to say like, "Yeah, I'll come on your podcast." I was like, "Nah, I'm kind of over this whole interview PR like wave that was like big when the game was first coming out, and it's had its success already, so I don't need to do this." But he seemed jazzed, and he just seemed very timid in the beginning. I'm not sure if it was more like that's who he is as a person, or just it was just kind of late and he was in the woods. I don't know, but
It could have been that, and it could have been that he didn't know who we were, so he needed
right.
to
There's that. Yeah,
feel out the room.
yeah. You had like coax him a little bit to come out of his
Yeah.
shell. He was so great though.
So we had Death Road Canada. We had Emmerich Toa for
Oh,
Fury, which was a
Death
really cool
Road
show.
was, I think, the worst for me because it was like, okay, bye bye. 20 minutes, I'm out of here. that
Right.
that
Yeah.
that
He
is
had to
like
leave.
that is like the fever dream guest because it was like, did it really happen? Because he was
Yeah.
barely there.
He had to leave. He only gave us 20 minutes or half an hour or whatever it was. So that was a weird one.
Right.
Emmerich Toa was great, and then Robert Boyd and Bill Sternberg for Cosmic Star Heroine. That was one of my
We gotta
favorites
get those
episodes
guys.
as
What are
well.
they working on these days?
I don't know. We got to get them on.
Yeah.
We got to get them on. We had Minute. We had Jam on for
Oh
a
yeah.
minute.
Mm-hmm.
Laurent on for After Charge. We had David on for Little Nightmares, which was
Bring
awesome.
him back for part 2, baby. That's what we'll do with that.
Yeah, buddy. Michael Sternberg for Russian Subway Dogs. We had Zach Johnson, West of Loathing, which West of Loathing was one of my favorite games, but unfortunately Zach Johnson got into quite a bit of heat
Oh,
domestically.
that was our first. We did recording together in your office, and I wanted to strangle you.
Yeah, that was awful. That was a lot. That was really tough. And then we had I Was Awakening. We had Michael,
Yeah, Michael and Kevin.
Forslin and Kevin. And then in 2 weeks, you guys could hear Michael's second episode all about Alwa's Legacy, which we recorded today. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Then Greg Johnson happened. Then Nate's second. Then Rogue Legacy, Full Metal Furies from Teddy Lee. Then Michael Mendheim, which was another huge episode for us.
If you go down the list, like from our first interview, it seems like it goes from small indie game, kind of well-known game, small, and then it kind of grows in a sense where the names we got on the show were bigger. Like you get your Moonlighter, you get your Dusk, you get your Ring World. It's like a lot of big
Dusk.
things are
Speaking
coming
of
in.
Dusk, David was nuts.
Oh, David's my favorite. The old cucumber himself.
David chewing a cucumber, going out on his balcony. I think his internet died at one point.
Oh, yeah, he was on the phone G-chatting us up on the balcony. That was great. He's going to come back for sure. He's a definite repeat. And we had Rainbow was the entire dev team came on the show. It was like 5 people eating Chinese
World.
food. And then, of course, James.
We had Eva Gaspar for Curse Castilla EX.
Oh, she was
adorable.
She was such a sweetheart. I love her.
Yeah,
So
she
sweet.
was really, really happy that we gave her the doc to the show and all that stuff.
Oh, there's a run of show. This is unreal to me. Like, we're not professional. Don't mistake us for that. Just
Then
don't.
we had, I would say probably the first. I'm just gonna scroll through one more time, but I think the first true good friend that came out of a guest, we had James Deegan from Megacat.
I think he was my second. I think my first crush was on Dave Oshry. James is my number 2 crush on the podcast.
Sure. James became such a good friend of ours. He's available at the drop of a hat. We met him at PAX. We hung out with him a ton. I'd really like to hang out with him more and maybe like more socially.
We're doing drinks for sure.
Oh yeah. He actually was working with Maltese a little bit on some things.
We should reach out to some of these folks, like maybe the next guest, J Kid for Collapsis, of like getting us in there as like part of their staff. Because
I heard it cost them money.
Right.
That's the only thing.
Right.
Adam Nickerson from Ding Dong XL, which was another
He
really
was a
good
great
episode.
one.
Yeah.
He was a great guest.
And then the real nightmare. Ian and Aiden Sid.
They're going to come back.
Sky Devil Palm. Boy, we had no idea what was going on in that show. Maltese almost crashed his car listening to that show.
Because I was trying to get a game out of them because there was something of a game on their Twitter feed. And they were like, oh, we have no real project we can talk about. And we're just like, oh, you're just a bunch of insane pixel artists.
Oh, no.
And it's like,
We
you
fucked
hear
up.
these brothers compared to the Swim Sanity team, the other brothers on the show.
Right.
It's like a night and day. No, it's more like day and then the apocalypse. such a dichotomy. It's insane. But you know what? For me, it was fun. I could hear the panic in your voice trying to bring it back because it was so off the rails. It was in the water. We were already drowning, and you were trying to look for a life preserver.
What's up, Snowbike Mike? Welcome to the show, buddy.
Snowbike.
Reminiscing about Nintendo Duel Screens. This is the last episode, Snowbike Mike. Speaking of, you.
No, wait. You can't
just
say it like that. He may think we're quitting. Give him some.
No, he knows.
Okay.
No, he knows that the
knows.
show is evolving. So, Snowbike Mike was episode 78, which was actually before, right after Moonlighter. So yeah, we had Snowbike Mike on. We actually had Cool Greg Geddes from Kind of Funny on the show as well. But he was
all
on
of our
a bonus
Mortal
stage.
Kombat guests, by the way.
No, I'm jumping down and then I'm gonna go back up because these are interspersed in between.
Yes, they were.
Dan Colonna, Bill from Run Jump Stomp came on. Patrick Hickey Jr., who was our second great friend that we made from guests of the show, and I would consider him one of my personal friends. We've met up once or twice or whatever. He lives in the neighborhood, so we talk every day. Great dude. So moving right down along here, we had, let's see, Brett Pennings from Mage Quit, another good friends that we've made. We love that game. Jonah Wallerstein, Kung Fu Kickball. That was a weird one, but still a really, really good show.
Right. Well, that was, born out of the whole, new week, new guest, because we were on the path.
Right.
The streak couldn't break in my eyes. Right. So if it was trying to scrounge a guest from a local, playcrafting event, and so be it. But he was great because he had the best game showing of that entire event, as it were.
Snowbike Mike says it's been an incredible show with two awesome dudes, and he says, Maltese, my friend, I don't always bring the hype, but when I do, it's with Gatorade.
Beautiful, insane
all right, so then we had the Video Game Machine, Scott Tykowski. Roberto Pirino came back on for Bloodstained, and that was right before it came out.
That was on the release precipice. That was another big get because it was like the game was a day away, I think. It was the following Tuesday. And here he was back to talk about everything, the delays, like the kind of like the kickback from fans and all this stuff. It was a lot. It was a deep.
And he would have another 6 months of kickback.
Right. Right. Poor man.
Lee Thomas from Speed Brawl, who we're gonna have back on the show soon.
Very soon.
To talk about something very large. Very, very big.
So
Jim Dershberger, he was another one that was great. We met him at PAX East.
This is one of our favorite games of the year.
Yeah, Freedom Finger. Yeah. That was our rookie showing of the year. Nick Gregory, Eagle Island, that was a great show. Aleix Ortuño
Morilla. Guest.
Aleix was great because
in the back for the translator.
Yes, she was helping him translate a little bit. Professor Lupo and his horrible pets.
Right.
That was a fun one and a fun game if you like puzzle games.
Yeah.
And then this is when this next string was where we realized this is gonna change. The show is gonna change, and it's just a matter of when, not if. So we had Terry Boulanger, creator of The Messenger, on the show.
Right. Now, this for me was kind of a big deal because it was one of those hyperlight drifter moments for us where it was a game that was very much in the news, in the headlines. It had won so many awards. And we had met Terry at PAX East earlier that year, and I met him the year prior. And he was such a cool guy, but I had that fear, like, would it be an Alex 2.0? Like, will he just seem like disinterested or just kind of over it? And he was our first deep dive.
Right.
So we kind of made a note that this is kind of a big deal. We need to devote the entire show to him and really figure him out. And I'll just be, okay, here's
in retrospect, probably should have did that for Greg Johnson.
A lot more people. Right. But, we're not the smartest.
No,
we're
not.
The brightest bulbs in the bulb box, as the saying goes.
not the sharpest crayon in the shed.
Mm-hmm. And so going in there, thinking that he wouldn't be as engaged, complete reversal, because he was so on, and he was so chatty. I was like, just please, sir, do not stop talking. Your voice is like barbecue sauce from McDonald's. Good. I want it in my mouth always. Just don't stop it. And he gave us. I
prefer the barbecue sauce from Burger King, to be honest.
What about Wendy's though?
It's been a while. Like, I feel like the McDonald's one is a little too much ketchup-y.
Well, now it's the tangy barbecue. I think it's a little bit slight alteration on the classic. I think tangy is where the ketchup-y sensation comes in. Maybe. But that's when you explain to me barbecue sauce on a future episode of this podcast.
Oh, Mr. Nuff. Honey mustard? Come on, man. You know mustard is the devil.
Wasn't there I think there was a feed on your Facebook of like a mustard pizza your wife had sent you?
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Matt Dombrowski, Streets of Rogue. He was after that.
That was a Twitter conversation. It was like, hey, come on the show. I was like, okay, cool. When? Tomorrow. I'll be there.
Yeah. Then another big one for us was Blossom Tales.
Now this one was like, I want to say at least 2 years in the making, because right when the game had come on to Switch and it had their big sales boost that saved the company, you were like, I'm going to get him on the show. And you spoke to them over Twitter. And that's where I got their email from. So I reached out and there was not even a response at all.
Radio silence, my friends.
And then I just took a chance. I was like, you know what? I'll just ask again because maybe it got lost in the mail. It happens. Sometimes developer emails go to my spam box, which I find bizarre. It happens.
That's really weird when that happens.
Yeah, but he came back and wrote back to me, and that was a great show. Again, another big name for us, which is, again, do we deserve this? Yes, we fucking do. Yes, we fucking do.
So we had Exception, Savior, Robo Puzzle Smash, Sydney Hunter and the Curse of the Mind, One Finger Death Punch 2. Desmond Wong came back on for Cat Quest 2. And then we had another huge show with Adam Volker for Creature in the Well. That was another deep dive episode. And then that's kind of where these deep dives started to come a little bit more frequently. We had Adam Volker, Creature in the Well. We had Stephen Kick for System Shock. Then we had My Beautiful Paper Smile, but then we did another deep dive with Matthew Coate and Marie Bernard for Dead by Daylight. That was you did that one solo.
Yeah, scheduling, it happens.
And then Calvin Parsons for Negative Atmosphere.
He's going to come back on the show.
Yes, absolutely. That game is looking more and more impressive every single week.
Yeah.
James Deegan came back on to talk about a couple of other spooky games that they had put out. And then the Sam Barlow episode.
That man could have spoken until the end of time, I felt. He was just an encyclopedia of Silent Hill trivia and knowledge. And having him lift the curtains so far back for me was a lot. It was almost too much when you hear someone talk about a Pyramid Head fry cook backstory. there's a part of me that's like, young Andy is like screaming at that point.
There, there were two parts in that episode where I lost consciousness. Um, I didn't know what was going on.
He didn't give us time to like. There was no room for like getting a word in.
No, you couldn't
There was
expound.
no break. Like,
I couldn't be like, wait a minute, hold on. Like if I wanted to know, like I would have to remember the first minute that like where it was that he said something. I'd be like, write it down. Okay, wait, and then he would just go on for another 3, 4, 5 minutes, and I'm like, fuck, I don't have
and
no idea what I wanted to
that's the
ask you.
biggest issue because for me, when I'm hearing someone speak, it's like, if I cut them off, what will I rob myself and the
Right.
listeners
You don't
of?
want to stop that train, baby. You
Right.
let that train go into the station, let it
But that was
plow
like an
through.
express train to Coney Island
Yeah,
from like Ditmars.
that just kept
It
going.
just kept going, bro.
Um, but that was great. Then Christoph came on to talk about Carrion. Lucas came on to talk about Sparklight. Colm came on to talk about Cardpocalypse. And then the new show began with Paco and Shadow Brawlers, which is still, to this day, our most downloaded episode of the Duel Screens podcast.
That's gonna change. That's gonna change.
That is the most downloaded episode. Then we had Matthew Allen Estock for Kingdom Bash, which was one of my it was probably one of my favorite conversations we've had because it was like
I want to keep him close to us. He's a good
it was
kid.
very deep. It was a very deep conversation. I really liked it. Very vulnerable. Then we had the Decoy Games Bros
Yeah, they were.
talking about Swim Sanity. And then this past week.
I think this week's with Cosmos Quick Stop this Thursday coming up is going to be a lot of fun for your listeners. Again, once you listen to these episodes, the new format kind of makes so much more sense because it's just the level of freedom we have
Right.
is unprecedented, and
Right.
it just makes so much more sense this way. And looking back, yes, it was naive to not devote an hour to Greg Johnson about his career as opposed to 20 minutes talking about mainly his new game.
Well, we did talk for about 45 minutes.
Right.
That was a long episode.
Right.
That went I think that went an hour and a half, if I remember.
But listen, we've had repeat guests on the show, and if Tricky can come on the show 3 times, we can bring on Greg Johnson a second time. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel like that's a definite must.
Right.
I'm looking up. I want to see if I have written down the Patreon information because we were going to make some changes to Patreon that I wanted to touch on before we end the show.
Good, because I'm waning. My strength is kind of at the end. But just so you listeners know out there, I sound a lot like shit because I feel a lot like shit. But I will only do this show for you and you alone. And because I love Steven that much. I would otherwise be in bed playing the Switch or passed out at this point. Or getting knifed at the Wawa. You never know.
You know you're going to Wawa.
I'm going to Wawa. But they're also on Seamless.
Oh.
So there's that.
So you could seamlessly get stabbed.
So before you wrap up with the Patreon changes, one last thing I want to mention is, again, our awesome indie dev guests. And I want to amp up the voice actor guests in 2020. Because I think when we put our favorite lists together, like you do your top and I do my top, there's a good kind of like cross section, and I feel like we kind of always meet where in the voice actor area because they're always the best guests on the show because they're removed from the development process, and things can get really personal with them, and they're just all characters because they're just always on when they come on the show.
Yeah, they're performers.
Right.
They're there to put on a show,
Right.
like regardless of if
And
they're the
listen,
star, they're going to be the star.
I still want to get Richard to record like an intro for the show. Like, this is the Duel Screens podcast. Earth
And have him
River.
do it as all those different characters.
Yeah.
All right, so I do have the Patreon changes, and these are happening in 2 days.
Oh boy.
Patreon is going to
Oh
change.
boy.
It did sound that.
Um,
Missed Enough said, I know you said removed, but it sounded like reboofed, and now he wants that to be a word.
I will
All
rebuke
right.
you.
So some Patreon changes that are going to happen. We sent out a survey to our Patreon supporters and some of our closest listeners, and we just wanted to know information, and we got a lot of really good feedback. So here's what we're doing. The $1 tier is going to essentially stay the same. You get access to our Discord, and you get a bonus episode that you vote the topic on. Then we're adding a $3 tier, which is get hype with each other. You're going to get all the previous perks, plus you're going to get the pre and post show audio.
Sounds so dirty, by the way.
Get hype with each other? Hell yeah. So before that was at $5. Now we're lowering that to $3. Hopefully it can entice some of the $1 people. Hey, it's $3, whatever. I want to hear the stupidity that they talk about pre and post show. By the way, that is going to specifically be for the Gamescast, because that is the only show that we know when we're going to record it each and every week at a specific time. Sometimes with the Duel Screens podcast, we don't really know when we're going to record. It could be 11 o'clock, and I'm not doing a post show. So that's $3. $5 is it's a secret to everyone that you get all the previous rewards, and what you're going to get is the Duel Screens podcast early access. Depending on how far in advance we do this, the most you'll get in advance is going to be the Monday of the show that comes out on Thursday. That's the most time you're going to get with the show. But depending on when we do record, will determine how quickly. It's like if we're recording 3 episodes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and that Monday's episode is Thursday's episode or whatever, you're going to get it the Tuesday morning or the Monday night whenever we finish editing and all that stuff. But either way, at $5, you're getting the show early. And that's just possible because we do try and record as many of them ahead of time as possible. So there's no sense in holding them for that long for people who are willing to give us money to support us. Then we are we are lowering $10 to $8. $10 is gone. $10 now becomes $8, and it's I'm listening. So you're going to get all the previous rewards, and you're going to get the Google Hangouts audio, which is, it's essentially the $10 tier is just lowered down to $8, hopefully enticing the $5 people to move up. Then the $25 tier, it's our party. That is also remaining the same except one thing. So you get all the previous rewards, and you get to do a Google Hangout with me and Andy. We're going to record once a month, and that is the show that the $8 people are going to get as well on top of everything. The other thing you're going to get as a one-time thing, all you have to do is once you're charged $25 starting January 1st when all the changes happen, once you're charged $25, you will get a Duel Screens t-shirt. We'll ask for your size, and we'll send one to your abode. It'll just be one of our Duel Screen shirts that we're going to get printed. Again, that is not monthly. That is just one time. You support us at $25 one time, you're getting it. And then our highest tier is going to be the $50 tier. That's the Deadliest Tower. All the previous rewards. But the t-shirt is upgraded to a goodie package. So it's a one-time thing. You're going to get the t-shirt, but you're also going to get other things like a coffee mug, stickers, maybe some random shit we have in our rooms, whatever. But you're going to get some stuff as a little thank you for supporting us at that level. And you're also, of course, at $50 going to get your Patreon producer credit. And for those of you that are here, that are listening, that have been Patreon producers before, you know it's a big deal to us to have you as part of the creative process. Really, $25 and up, you're pretty much part of the brand. You help guide us into the future of Duel Screens. So the producer credit still does mean that you're going to be a producer of the show. We're going to write to you. We're going to have sidebars with you and ask you, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Your opinion matters. So those are going to be the changes to the Patreon. That is going to be typed. I think most of it's already typed up and saved. I might have to just add a few things, and it's gonna go live as of the 1st. So 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year, boom, new Patreon. So be aware of that. What else do we got? The seasonal content, starting January 10th is going to be Andy Explains It All. That's going to be from January 10th to March 20th. Then there's the Dueling Idiots podcast, which is a working title. I'm also tossing around Duel Screens Versus.
I like that
That's
one
April
much
3rd.
better.
Yeah, I know. April 3rd to June 26th. Then there's Casting Call from July 10th to September 25th. And then Duel Shocked from October 9th to January 1st of 2021. So that's it.
A lot of stuff.
That's it, guys.
This is a lot of fun.
Before we hang up, those of you who are still in the chat, is there anything you want to ask us? Any sort of question you want about Nintendo Duel Screens? Anything you want us to know about Nintendo Duel Screens, what it meant to you, or anything like that? Now is your chance while I read our sponsor. We are sponsored, as always, for quite a few months now, by meltedpins.com. Melted Pins, where's my pin? Is a fantastic website run by artist Kelsey Lynn, who creates tattoo art inspired buttons, enamel pins, canvas bags, t-shirts, all sorts of really fun stuff. I don't know what I did. I had a whole thing of my pins, and I don't know where they all went, unfortunately. My kids probably got their hands on them. Because they're so attractive. What's that?
They're half digested by now.
Oh yeah, they're in the large intestine for sure. Again, if you want to support local artists and small creators, the best way to do so is to actually buy their product. And what you can do is go to meltedpins.com and you use the checkout code NDSmelted, and you're going to get 10% off of your order. Simple as that. Meltedpins.com, promo code NDSmelted, and you will get 10% off of your purchase. If you want to follow Melted Pins on social media, on Instagram and Twitter, you could do so. They are at Melted Pins. Kelsey is a friend of the show. She's done art for this show. I stand behind her art style and everything she does 110%. Okay, let's see what we got here. Maltese says big things are coming. Congratulations. Thank you. Mr. Nuff says this little community we have is incredible, and I hope we can get some more people in here to grow us even more. You guys and everyone on the Discord are rad as hell, and I love you guys. Thank you, Mr. Nuff. Can't wait to see where this grows from here. We'll give another couple of seconds. Final thoughts here, Andy, before we end the show?
I'm excited, dude. I am full of hope, and it's all going to come crashing down one way or another. It's going to be a fun year between the new formats, the new episodes, the new series, PAX East, hopefully E3 on our radar. More YouTube stuff, more streaming stuff.
My biggest want is a video editor. That's my biggest want.
We should just make that a goal on our Patreon and have that be the goal for like the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
But yeah,
the problem is they're so goddamn expensive.
I know. So before my voice dies out officially for the evening,
all right,
I want to say
you dip out
that I love you. No. I love you. I love the show. I love our listeners. It's been so great. It's going to get better in the new year. And you're the only person I can imagine to go on this insane ride with. And I really can't wait for what the new year brings.
It's going to be great. I love you too. You've been a great partner on this, and the next chapter in this journey is going to be insane, and we're going to be working our asses off. But the most important thing is I'm really excited about how fun this next year is going to be. I think all the shows that we're going to do while they're going to be work, they're going to be a lot of fun to do.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to that. We really found ourselves this year as a brand. We still have a lot of work to do as far as, homogenizing everything into one cohesive package, but I think we're doing great, and it's only going to get better. That's it. That is going to do it for us. This has been the final episode of Nintendo Duel Screens, Nintendo Duel Screens episode 133. Remember, we are still going to be on this same channel. We are going to be the Duel Screens Gamescast starting next week. So starting the, what day is that? Sorry, the 6th is going to be the first episode of the Duel Screens Gamescast, which you could watch right here on on twitch.tv/Duel Screen Streams, or on YouTube afterward, or of course you could listen to it on podcast services around the world. Thank you so much. Remember, if you want to support us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/NDSPodcast. That's patreon.com/NDSPodcast. That's it. Thank you so much, Andy. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, chat. It's been an absolute pleasure. Take care. And as always, play